the most underutilized tool you can use in your optical or practice today to increase your practice profitability big time. Plus, it creates efficiency, convenience, and sets your optical apart from the one down the street. Today we're going to be talking about stock lenses with Dr. Allan Panzer of the Houston Dry Eye Clinic. Dr. Panzer has been edging with stock lenses for numerous years, probably decades, and it's really transformed his practice over the years and sets it apart. We're going to break it down about lens materials, where to buy them, how to buy them, what prices, coatings, all that stuff. It is so easy. Many of you have probably thought about buying an edger, have an edger, it's sitting there dusty. Well, good news. Edgers are so user-friendly, the computer interfaces are just simple. A few clicks of a button and the edger does everything. So, don't think you need these crazy skill sets and you have to go to school and do all this stuff. No, you can learn how to use an edger within a couple of hours with proper training, have all the resources, and really crank out lenses within a day or two for all your single vision patients. I find it really fascinating in eye care and optical. We're always trying to find this get quick rich scheme. We're trying to beat the insurance, beat the guy next door, beat online, but we never really take things into our own hand and think, how can I today fix my business? What can I do today? And one thing you actually can do is lowering your cost of goods. Go shop, go find a better price, figure out a way to provide a service at a lower cost to you, and you'll feel good about it. And it'll set your optical and eye care practice on a trajectory for growth in the long term. Stock lenses, don't be afraid of them, use them. Use them, they are wonderful things. These little things that come in the sleeves, you know, you've probably seen them. Those little cute little sleeves with the fancy, you know, imagery and graphics on them. Yes, you can use those. We're going to be talking about the quality of stock lenses too. So, you know, there's this big belief that everything has to be handmade and custom made for the patient. Well, that's not really true. Stock lenses are made in such a pristine environment and everything's very controlled in the making of them. And they are just as high quality, or not, if not even higher quality than a surfaced lens. We're going to go through all those details. You're going to feel energized, inspired. You're going to want to go out and shop for them like on Amazon. They don't sell them on Amazon, but you know what I mean. You can actually inventory stock lenses in your practice, and when you sell a pair of glasses, you can confidently go into the back of your office, pull those stock lenses and edge them right away, and actually have 1 hour service like they had probably in the 90s and early 2000s. Don't just think you can't use an edger because there's only 40 hours in a work week. There's also the 45th hour and the 50th hour and the 60th hour. Those are times when you can sit back, relax, enjoy a cocktail, a glass of wine, a Coke, whatever you like, and just take the time. It's an art. Have fun edging. It's exciting. You're making custom goods. Feel good about the craftsmanship and share that with your patients that you made this. You made it hand by hand for them, and they're going to tell that story with their friends. There's always that moment when you're edging lenses and, you know, the motor goes off and you take it out and you start unscrewing the barrel of the glasses, and it just, the lens is dead on size, and you feel so good about the craftsmanship, and you're so proud. You're like, I want to pick up the phone. I want to call this patient, tell them their glasses are ready. You know, it's a great feeling, and get excited. Have fun in the craftsmanship process. We're bringing, you know, manufacturing back to the U.S. It doesn't have to happen in some lab, you know, across state lines or overseas. You can do it right in your office. Hello and welcome to the special video segment of Eyetrepreneur, the podcast for Wizards of Eyes. Earlier on, we had Dr. Allan Panzer of the Houston Dry Eye Clinic on the podcast. He did an awesome job, and he discussed how to maximize the profitability of your practice. And today we're actually going to get a heads-on view of how Dr. Allan Panzer does it. So welcome on, Allan.
Thank you very much.
We also have Dr. Raymond Brill here. Hello.
Hi, Barry. How's it going? And Allan? Hope things are going well in Houston.
Very well.
So, Dr. Panzer, I know you discussed maximizing profitability by going through your widget philosophy. So maybe you could summarize, how you do it in your practice over the past, how many years? 40 plus years in practice? Or?
39. It'll
Okay,
be
we're
40.
getting close to 40. So awesome.
To 40. So basically what we discussed previously was that regardless of what business we're in, we're all in the widget business. It doesn't matter what we do. We essentially sell a widget if we're in the business of earning. So we have three opportunities with that widget. We can sell more widgets, we can sell the widget for more, or we can buy the widget for less. And so what I thought we'd discuss today is how to buy the widget for less. So ask away.
Well, Alan, how do we buy the widget for less?
Well, in my world, you buy the widget for less by doing some of the production of the widget yourself. Now, yourself can mean yourself or your staff, but it definitely means producing the widget in-house as opposed to farming out the widget.
Sounds like you're talking about glasses.
As a matter of fact, I am. Can't manufacture contact lenses in-house, so I have to manufacture my glasses in-house.
Okay, that makes sense.
So you're talking about having an in-office laboratory, is that right?
Yes. When I first started in practice, I had worked in a laboratory for 3 years while I was in school, and I knew how to make glasses. And when I got out of school, I swore I would never make another pair of glasses until I began to get glasses from the laboratory, and I would lift them out of the box, and sometimes the 4 diopter cylinder lenses would fall back into the box. And I would try to put it back in, it would fall back out. It would fall back out. And I would be very frustrated trying to keep the lens in the frame that I just purchased from the world's biggest laboratory. And so a friend of mine had requested that I get him some optometric edging equipment about a year before. And since when I was in school, I sold everything. I mean, if it was for sale, trial lens kits, lensometers, books, I sold it. I mean, I just sold stuff. So I got him in his entire laboratory, including a heat treating machine, edgers, handstones, you name it. I procured it for him. And so I called him up one day and said, I need some help here. And he said, well, what do you need? I said, well, these glasses are coming in very badly, so I need you to teach me how to edge glasses, even though I had done it in a lab, but I had supervision there. So I used to drive out to his house every night with jobs in hand, and we would make glass lenses, heat treat them with a 1400 degree oven, and make these glasses. The problem was he was extremely good at handwork. He could touch up that lens. He seemed to know where to take the little bit off and on, and I never knew that. So after driving 27 miles a night every night to get my glasses made, my parents said, gee, couldn't you do this yourself and not drive 27 miles at 10 o'clock at night? And so I purchased my first edger. It was a Wiko 330, and it was state of the art. It used a pattern, and you still had a handstone, but it was state of the art. And by gosh, it would actually make a fairly decent lens without the handwork. So I put that in my office in an X-ray closet. I had rented my office was a dental office. It had 3 operatories, an X-ray closet, a little lab where the guy would, touch up his molds, and a private office. And so this X-ray closet was right across from 2 of the operatories, which I had taken a wall out because we, of course, needed 20-foot wall rooms. And I would run back and forth and start a lens and go back and finish my patient's exam and run back and take the lens out. And I did that for a good many years. Well, as time has gone on, the edgers have become far, far better. These days, the edger virtually does everything. You don't need a lensometer. You don't need a handstone. You don't need a groover, your little logo groover, dropping water on it. You don't need any of those things. And so the doctors who think this is extremely difficult simply don't realize how simple it actually is and how you can literally do it between patients. I literally will make 10 pairs of glasses a day while seeing 15 or 20 patients.
So let's talk about, number one, why having a lab is profitable in terms of, stock lenses or buying uncut, progressive, or bifocals. Where is the profit center? How are the margins?
So in the past, the profit center was in the progressive lenses. In the past, many years ago, when I first started, you wanted to make your money making bifocals. And a good many people said, oh, well, I'll only edge single vision because they cost less in case I mess them up. But with a really good edger and with a really great lab warranty, you don't have to worry about that. You can make anything. And so interestingly enough, the profit has now gone to the single vision. The profit is far higher in a single vision lens that you cut in office than it is in a progressive. In a progressive, when you buy the uncut from the lab, 10 more bucks, they edge it. For the single vision, there is an enormous benefit in doing it in-house. And that benefit goes to what I call opportunity cost, which we discussed in the other podcast. And the opportunity cost is that when that person is standing there and they want their glasses, and even if they have one of the major vision care plans, when you can make their glasses while they wait, they are enamored with the fact that they no longer have to wait. They no longer have to go home with their broken glasses, with the lens being held in by a piece of Scotch tape, or the temple held on with tape, or the safety pin that goes through the temple. They can say, how long will this take? And I can say 10 minutes. I say 15 if I have to walk back to the back. And they say, you can actually get my lenses in that short a period of time. And I say, why, yes, I can. And they say, well, let's do that. And even if they have one of the major plans, which we've now been able to opt out of sending the lenses to the lab, what I find is that we save so much money on staff time that we really need to look at this. I don't care who you are or where you are. It takes time for that staff to fill out that form online, to package that frame up, to potentially call that company that picks it up or put it in a box with a sticker and wait for the mail person to come. The mail person takes it away. Now it goes to the lab, it gets there on a Friday. They don't even start on it till Monday. They maybe get to it by Tuesday or Wednesday, and it comes back out and it gets to you on Friday, and that person has to wait until Monday. Now let's compare that to they got it in 10 minutes and they walked out the door.
So you shorten the process. Do you stock lenses in your office, or are you ordering them pair by pair on an as-needed basis?
Okay, so we'll go back to 39 years ago when I started. When I started, I stocked only single vision CR39 non-scratch coated lenses because they were cheaper. And of course, when you're first starting out and you don't have money to put in 200 pairs of lenses, you put in the cheapest thing you have. Well, I found that I was making people wait for a better product. So if they wanted scratch coated, they had to wait for me to order it and come in. And it suddenly occurred to me that was foolish. I should cater to the person who wanted the scratch coated, not the person who didn't want the scratch coated. And that if they didn't want the scratch coating, they should wait, not the person that wanted the scratch coating. As time went on, I got polycarbonate lenses. And so everything I had was polycarbonate with those old leftover plastic lenses. And I would say, well, if you want polycarbonate, I have it right now. But you'll have to wait for the non-glare coated. And then it occurred to me I was doing it all again. History was repeating itself. I was once again making people wait for the premium product and catering to the person who didn't. Mm-hmm. This goes back to the mall places where you might be able to get your lenses in about an hour, but you couldn't get them with a non-glare coating. So I now carry non-glare coated polycarbonate lenses. Now I realize there are people out there that think the Abbey value is horrible and they've got to use Trivex, or they just have to use 1.67. Well, I have been cutting polycarbonate with AR for 25, 30 years and nary a complaint about the Abbey value. There's not a patient out there that knows what an Abbey value is. And so that is how I've come to the point where I stock poly with non-glare coated on it. I still have some regular poly, and those are the ones that survived the flood where we had the 28 inches of water in the office and subsequently did away with the 3 drawers on the bottom.
Well, wonderful. So, Dr. Brill, I know you've had a lab in your office for a long time too. What was your pivotal moment where you say, you know what, I need a lab because I want to speed up service and hopefully lower your cost of goods as well?
Boy, that goes back to the 80s, where I'm not really sure why I decided. I don't think it was necessarily profitability. I think it was probably just to be able to offer better service. Of course, at that time, the vision care plans were not really abundant like they are now, and people were actually paying money for services. But as I recall, now that you asked me, Perry, we decided to have a dry cut edger as our first edger. And that way it was so much easier to do. We would stock Styler True Tint 70. So these were lenses that were still tintable because tinting was a big thing. And if you could tint a lens, it was in the time of a rose tint or a pearl or actually like a 5-color tint on a faceted rimless. I hear Alan laughing. But a 5-color tint on a faceted.
Did you fasten? Were you polishing edges for the diamond cut? Probably not.
Yeah, so that was the
5-color tint, right? 5-color tint.
Yes.
Mine were mostly 3 colors: brown on the top and pink on the bottom, and sometimes a little blue in the middle.
Well, we would do a makeup tint, like a blueberry over rose. So at that time, tints, it was easy to do, and we had a certain range. I think I still have a few of those lenses, which are now yellowed. So we kind of keep them around just to show people what lenses happen over 30 years. But it was a good decision to make. And I recall doing some tinting, but I don't really, I think I always had somebody to edge. And it was really at the time of about 1985 when the 1-hour places came out. And it was something that we would lose patients because I needed them in an hour. They also needed their photos in an hour, and there was a photo mat in virtually every parking lot. So, of course, people would need them in an hour, and then 6 months later, they'd be knocking on the window after hours saying, "I need to pick up my glasses." So the people that waited the longest, on the other hand, the ones that waited a year without glasses, they're the ones that needed them right away. So it was an interesting concept, but I've always had an edger, and always thought that it was a matter of just providing higher quality, higher excellent service. And I'm glad that recently the laboratories associated with vision care plans now trust us enough to use all these high-tech instruments, because the assumption before is that we would put out bad quality to our own patients. And my argument was, why should you punish the vision care plan patient to have a lesser quality or lesser timeliness of service than my private patients? And I'm glad they finally came around.
Yeah, and I think that's really smart, because a frustration among optometrists and opticians is labs have really lacked in providing good finishing skills. You know, lenses are coming in too big, too small. The bevels are screwed up. They're not placing everything in correctly. They're breaking frames. And one way to control quality of eyewear is by doing it yourself.
So I'd like to address something which one of our particular eye care plans was allowing us to do them in-house and then took it away. And when I spoke with the optometrist, who many would know, I said, why did you do that? And he said, I love this, because optometrists are paying too much money to have them edged at the lab. So the concept behind this particular third-party plan was, if you couldn't make the lens in-house for less than we were going to pay you, you were going to lose money. So we're going to fix that. We're going to have you send it to our lab, and we'll give you $25 or something, and you'll be happy, because you aren't losing money any longer. Losing money. To what I said, but not all of us are losing money. And so it's my employee who calls every Sunday for something. Anyway, I think I need to
Put her on. Put her on.
Usually she just wants to get her paycheck early, but it's really a little too early. I don't think 15th goes for several days. Anyway, so that is the reason that some of them did this. Okay.
I want to add one.
Because they get a better price on the lab than we do, and they're making money on that additional price.
Now, when we opted out of one of the eye care plans, and I'm not going to mention any names, they then insisted because we opted out of the lab, they will be less profitable, and they actually lowered our exam reimbursement. So, that's a clue that they are really counting on the profitability of the lab. And this lab would also do a lot of back charges for things that were not available from their lab. So we had to actually pay retail price on their price list for things that they did not offer. So
yeah, if you look at lab chargebacks, it's ridiculous. If you look at chargeback, it might be $250, $300 chargeback for a pair of lenses, and you can buy that lens for like $10 from a stock's warehouse supply. So, I think we underestimate the profitability of stock lenses. Dr. Panzer, I'm sure you're buying stock lenses at very reasonable prices. How's the quality of a stock lens? I think there's always that assumption just because you buy a lens for cheap that it's not good quality, but I think we need to change that conversation.
I think I would completely disagree with that statement. I think that instead I would say that is a better quality than a surfaced lens.
Correct.
It's mass produced in a facility that's all they do.
It's a controlled environment.
Now, granted, we have digital and free form, and none of us really have any clue whether that lens is any better or not. And I doubt that many of our patients look through a free form lens and say, "Oh man, a free form lens! I can really tell this."
Yeah, they can't tell the difference.
I find that the quality of a stock lens is actually better. Now, the interesting thing now is that my edger has a built-in lensometer, and it will actually tell me what those lenses' actual power is, and that's been somewhat fascinating. A -1, -1/4 lens is never and has never been a -1, -1/4. It may be a -0.97, -0.32. We don't know that. You know that when you put it in your edger and it reads the power and blocks it and does everything. And so that's been a very enlightening thing to me, having an edger with a built-in lensometer. And I no longer have axis off or power off because I know when I look at it, it's right.
So let's talk about the actual operation of an edger. I think a lot of people are intimidated, like, oh my gosh, how am I going to program this? It's going to take, hours and hours of education. But it seems pretty easy. It's intuitive, just a few clicks of a button. Doctors can do it between patients, or they can just hire their optician to do it and say, you're going to learn how to edge.
Well, I was reading online this morning where someone said, you need to have your finest optician doing it. And I'm like, I think I would probably go the other way. I would probably have my least intelligent optician do it. What needs to be put in? The machine traces the frame, let's say, or takes a picture of the lens, takes a picture of the holes in a drill job. If you tell me that a person can drill better than that machine, I would disagree. If you have the ability to decide how big that hole is going to be, 1.4 or 1.45 millimeters, there's nobody with a drill in their hand that can do that. And so these days, you either set the lens in and it takes a picture of it or not. You then take your stock lens, it says -1, -1/4, set it in. You simply need to put in 64.5 millimeters, and it's going to get the half. And you hit go. It lays it out. It tells you whether the lens is big enough or not. We're not sitting there holding it up to the frame any longer, going, well, is that going to work or not? No. It shows you. And if you need to go to 65 millimeters in order to make it cut out, you can see that. You can remember Prentice's rule from 40 years ago, and you can know that you're not going to be off by too much power by being a half a millimeter different, and you can cut that lens. And so again, to me, I will block that lens, put it in the edger, go see a patient. Come back in a few minutes, change lenses, put it in the edger, go see a patient. I know that's beneath the dignity of so many of my colleagues, but oh well, what can I tell you? I was making some glasses the other day, and I was speaking by text to a friend of mine who happened to have owned like 50 offices. And I said to him, "You hear that sound?" I took a video and I said, "That's the sound of money. That's the sound of money being made." And he just kind of laughed. But
So,
anyway,
Alan, I have a question for you. Now, I've noticed that the local chain stores are no longer edging when everyone used to have an edger in them.
well, it's interesting.
So they apparently are able to make more money centralizing their processes. So tell me what's going on there.
Well, apparently, if you're reading online, you can see that the man who came up with that concept says that they're putting those back in. And why are they putting them back in? I guess because they realized that was their drawing card. Now, why did they take them out? Interestingly enough, we actually have some insight into that, not hearsay, but word from the man. And the man says that the person who purchased that local chain that had edgers in everyone thought it would look more professional if they had to send it out, and would focus more on the frame than the lens. And so he pulled them out, and I think they probably lost a little market share when people came in for their glasses in about an hour and found out they couldn't get their glasses in about an hour. So
I was really talking about big box, like regular discount stores.
well,
Or
I
often
know that some of the really big box did have some edgers, and I believe they've taken them out. And my feeling on that is the ability to get someone to do it. Now, I would say to get someone good, but I don't really believe that. I would say the words to get someone to do it, period. I think that they prefer to have order takers than any actual fabricators. And so if you're open from 9 to 9, 7 days a week, that takes some employees. It's much easier to have an order taker than a fabricator.
So on the concept of, I know at the time when there was 1 hour, there was a common sign that optometrists would put up, say, "We promise to take more than 1 hour to make your glasses," and that was supposed to make the public feel better. So I never agreed with that. I thought the public wants everything as quickly as they can.
They want everything two-day Amazon Prime, and it's pretty amazing when sometimes we use a text messaging system to let people know their glasses are ready, and we'll have them done, less than 24 hours, and they'll text us back saying, "Are you sure you meant to send that message?" We're like, "Yep, your glasses are ready." So
I think that in about an hour was way too long. I think that it should have been in about 10 minutes. But again, the place had more patience customers than I did. So, they were shooting for an hour because they were going to surface it, whereas I'm not surfacing it. Mine is, if it's in the drawer, I'm going to make it right now. If it's not in the drawer, I'm going to order it. If it's a stock product, I'm going to have it by tomorrow. If it's a surface product, that's going to take a little longer. The surfacing has kind of gone up and down. Sometimes it's really fast. You order it that day. It's sitting here the next day. There were some labs up in the Northeast that promised that they would get your lenses out the same day. They were purchased by some of the larger organizations, and I don't think they promise that anymore. But in any event, I still find that people would prefer to get their things more quickly. They invariably come in when they've broken it. They invariably come in when they're going on vacation. They invariably go in when they got a wedding that weekend. And you,
right,
the provider, must provide that service, or they will get it somewhere else.
yeah,
we did have some technology, LQ specs, that we actually molded AR-coded progressives in our office, and it was there was a little learning curve to it, and the product they had a little learning curve just to the company, but it was excellent. I did have a gentleman who I was in a club with who said he threw his glasses in the lake, and he was in the mall, and he was just out. He was just telling me that so that I could give him permission to say, "Okay, go to the big box store in the mall and just get your glasses." I said, "Come in an hour early before you open." And he had a retail store in the mall. I said, "Before you open, I'll do your exam, and we'll have your glasses ready in 45 minutes. AR-coded, progressive, cut-edged in a new frame." And he never could forget that. But I think he secretly wanted to just get them at someplace else, but we were able to do it. And of course, companies do not plan on how their profitability is, and a lot of times we early adopters get punished. But it was really fun to be able to mold our own lens and take care of it all in one step. So,
so I think the service component is really important. And you have to look past buying the edger, whether your edger is 20,000, 40,000, it will pay off eventually. It's all incremental income. So when you're buying lenses for 5, 10, 15 bucks and having, 30, 60 times markup, it'll pay off really quicker than you think. So you just got to be patient.
I do want to comment on a couple of things. Now, sometimes if you have small eye size frames for kids, a high plus in a very small eye size, when you use the old stock lenses, they would end up being too thick, and you did have to say you need an uncut for that. You need something so they would cut it down to make it thinner. So sometimes you can't do every job in an uncut. But relatively speaking, stock lenses do come in a little bit thinner than if they're just edged for a frame. So that brings the question up, how do you get the thinnest possible lens? And a lot of people think, I need to use a higher index. And they really need to know, and most good opticians, optometrists know, really about the shape of that lens and about the frame selection than it is about the index of refraction. And then it's also about how that lens is manufactured.
Correct. Dr. Brill, how do you feel about brands of lenses? I know for you look at lenses as a piece of plastic. It's not born with a name. So is that kind of the same philosophy for stock lenses as well?
The branded lenses? Is that what you're saying? How do I feel about branded versus non-branded?
Yeah. Do you think buying a big optical branded lens is better than
Well, it's interesting because I visited a lab, I won't say where, last fall, and I've been calling them a hockey puck, and it's interesting, the labs refer to lenses as pucks. And when you look at them and they're big, they're like a puck. So it really, most of these are made in Asia. It's no big secret. Hoya kind of let the cat out of the bag when they had a fire in their Thailand plant and were apologizing about the upcoming lapse of service. But now, I mean, I went to China 9 years ago on a MBA trip, and at that time it was a 12-hour trip. So they can make thousands and thousands of lenses, ship them here in 12 hours. So it's really like Amazon Prime or overnight. And there's a city there that emphasizes really making lenses. So saying that the Asian product is bad, you just have to be aware of what you're buying. And you can buy branded, or I guess they're branded, but not brands that people know. So you could buy lenses that are super high quality, better quality than the ones with French names on them, and you will get that lens in very quickly, and you will be able to not tell. If you did a Pepsi challenge, you will be able to not tell there's any difference in quality, whether it's a progressive or a single vision, and they have all the qualities, all the types of aspheric lenses, high-vax, 1.67. Every possibility is still there. It's just a matter of how much you want to pay, but you will get it quickly. It's very impressive.
And the warranty on stock lenses is the same as going to a surfacing laboratory most of the time. And if they don't offer a warranty, you can just throw the lens away. You don't have to worry about it. Just kind of move on. Just move on.
Yeah, in the old days when you could buy a frame, you buy a frame for $5 because your average frame was wholesale like $17, or they were selling for $17. And I remember asking a frame rep who I said, "What kind of warranty on it?" He said, "It's a $4 frame. You don't need a warranty on a $4 frame." So it's actually, if you ask the labs, it's the darn warranty that brings up the cost of all the lenses. If they didn't have to warrant all the lenses, your price would be a lot less. And then some people are not totally truthful about the warranty, just like patients aren't truthful. Sometimes the optical person is not necessarily truthful about the warranty. We try to really stick with, was it a defect in manufacturing or not? But there's some risk. But overall, if you keep track of your spoilage, you should be not spoiling a whole lot of lenses.
Yeah. Well, awesome. I think we really discussed a lot of good topics about buying into the in-office lab concept. Dr. Panzer, you have any final comments of how to actually deploy a system in your practice, not just talk about it?
Well, I think you will have to go to a Vision Expo or something really big and wander around and look at the various edgers. They apparently have a wide range of price differentials, and I think you'll find that some of them are within reason and some of them are not within reason. It just depends on how much work you're doing. But I often suggest to my friends that before they buy any piece of equipment, all they do is take a piece of paper and write down a scorecard. And as each patient comes in, say, would I be sending this one out? Could I do it in-house? Would I be sending this one out? Could I do it in-house? And at the end of a week or a month, take a look and say, if I sent that lens out, or just take your lab bill and add up all the single vision lenses you did and say, okay, that I did 30 pairs of single vision lenses and they cost me $70 a piece. What if they cost me $7? And say, gee whiz, I would have had 63 times $30 in my pocket, and that's $2,000. How much is the edger? It's $30,000. Well, gee whiz, that's not going to take a long time to pay back. And again, what we're still missing is the opportunity to make the person happy right then. Above and beyond the money, which is really wonderful, the ability to not lose that person when they go to the mall and find the 1 hour place and notice that their doctor's open on Sunday and you're not, you can not only lose the sale, you can lose the patient, or you can lose their sister or their brother. And so I feel like when you're talking about entrepreneurship, you have to talk about how you maintain that patient.
Differentiate. I love it. I love it. Well, thanks so much. And if you haven't thought about bringing in an in-office lab, there's so many resources out there. Do what Dr. Panzer says, get a scorecard and execute on your dreams here. So thank you so much, gentlemen. So.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Are we ready to hit the...
Thanks for watching. We had so much fun on this video podcast with Dr. Allan Panzer and Dr. Brill. We always get pretty pumped talking about these technical subjects that are beyond the medical component of eye care. If you're looking for any resources about how to start an in-office lab, where do I buy lenses at, tools, edgers, anything like that, feel free to shoot us a direct message on Instagram, send us a message on Facebook, or an email, info@eyetrepreneur.com. Have a great day. Be a wizard of eyes.